Welcome to the Health Update. I'm Madison Kasper. Here with me is Dr. Aarti Raja, Mako Media's Health Adviser. Welcome, Dr. Raja.
Thank you, Madison, for having me.
Our topic today is a bacterium found in wounds. Dr. Raja, what is this bacteria?
So this is, the bacterium is called Vibrio Vulnificus. It is a bacterium that is commonly found in brackish waters, which is basically water that's a mix of fresh and salt water. And unfortunately, this bacterium does live there, but if humans come in contact with this bacterium, or certain humans, if you have an open wound and you come in contact with this bacterium, then it's likely going to lead to some kind of an infection.
So what are some of the signs and symptoms of the infection?
Sure. So the initial signs and symptoms are just going to be the usual with any infections, basically high fever, but then it can progress very rapidly in this case to beyond fever, to stomach cramps and dizziness and a whole series of complications following that.
So with that being said, how does this affect college students?
So this can be a problem when we live in areas where it is common to see mixing of fresh water and salt water, or after a storm, for example, when you have a storm surge in certain locations, you tend to have this brackish water show up. And in an area, and we do live in that kind of an area down here in South Florida, and with college students, if you're out on the beach or if you're out walking around and you choose to go barefoot, or you happen to have a wound and you're coming in contact with this brackish water, then that puts you at risk for infections from this bacterium.
So how can someone prevent getting this bacteria?
So simple rule is if you have an open wound, don't go in brackish water. Just make sure you're not stepping out in that scenario. And these wounds, and I don't mean just on your legs, they can be even in your hands. Don't put your hand in that kind of water. And if you have to wade through because of some circumstance, then cover the wound up really well in a waterproof bandage, for example, and then step into that water if you really need to.
Now, are there any treatments for this infection?
Absolutely. So the key with this infection is treatment must happen pretty quickly. That's what makes it a horrific infection, because it can progress very rapidly into a dark scenario. But the good news is there are antibiotics available. So there are two kind of levels of treatment. So an individual, if taken to the hospital, they can get what's referred to as doxycycline, and then they'll add another third generation, they're called third generation cephalosporin antibiotics. But the combination of these two is really good treatment that will work very well in taking care of the problem.
Do you have any final thoughts?
So again, the basic idea is if you happen to live around an area where there is brackish water and you have to get down and get into this situation, make sure you don't have open wounds, don't come in contact with that water if you have open wounds. And if you do, then ensure that your wounds are well wrapped in waterproofing bandages before you can step into that scenario.
Thank you, Dr. Raja.
Thank you, Madison.
This has been the Mako Media Health Update. I'm Madison Kasper. See you next time.